Hello, everyone. This is the fourth of the series on building AI first organizations, agents, AI strategy, and governance. AI is no longer just augmenting business processes, it is redefining leadership itself. In this episode, we examine how AI reshapes strategy, compresses decision cycles, and elevates leaders from intuition driven operators to intelligence driven orchestrators. Today's conversation is about how to lead differently when AI becomes central to how organizations sense, decide, and act. I am Murtaza Chowdhury, and I lead agentic AI driven modernization at AWS. My work focuses on helping organizations move from legacy systems to modern AI powered platforms safely and pragmatically. AI has shifted from optional innovation to a core leadership capability. Competitive cycles are tightening, consumer expectations change in real time, and the cost of slow or poor decisions continues to rise. Leaders who treat AI as a strategic partner, not a tool, are making faster, higher confidence decisions and setting the pace for their industries. Today, we're going to shift our perspective from systems and workflows to something much more foundational: leadership itself. AI has changed how we build products, how we operate large scale systems, and how we serve customers. But the true transformation, the one most organizations have yet to fully embrace, is how AI reshapes strategy and decision making at every level of leadership. In this session, I'll walk you through how leaders can use AI to uncover deeper insights, accelerate learning, and make higher confidence decisions. We'll look at practical frameworks, real world examples, and governance models that help you move fast without losing accountability or ethical grounding. The goal isn't to replace human judgment, but to augment it. So leaders can focus on what only humans can do: asking thoughtful questions, interpreting context, and steering teams with clarity and intent. Let's jump in. Today's discussion explores how AI reshapes leadership and strategy. We'll begin with why leadership models must evolve, move into AI enabled decision frameworks, examine how to manage portfolios dynamically, and define governance models that balance speed with judgment. We'll close with case studies and a practical playbook you can apply immediately. Traditionally, leaders made decisions through intuition, experience, and periodic reviews. That model worked when markets moved slowly and the volume of information was manageable. Today, the environment is different. Signals change daily, dependencies are much more complex, and the cost of slow or incomplete decisions is much higher. AI fundamentally shifts the decision model. Instead of relying on narrow inputs and manual synthesis, leaders now have systems that surface patterns, leading indicators, and risks in real time. Intuition doesn't go away, it becomes sharper and more informed. The leader's role shifts from acting on limited data to making judgment calls with a broader, continuously updated intelligence layer. That's the real transformation. What separates AI from previous technology waves is that it doesn't simply automate tasks, it adapts, learns, and extends the leader's capacity to understand complexity. AI systems can learn from data, generalize insights across situations, and perform a form of reasoning that helps teams explore options and trade offs far faster than before. And increasingly, they can act autonomously within guardrails. This fundamentally changes how leaders think, prioritize, and make decisions. Not because AI replaces judgment, but because it expands it. The role of a leader changes fundamentally in an AI driven organization. It's no longer enough to simply guide teams or approve plans. Leaders must understand what good AI is, where it fails, and how to ask the right questions to surface meaningful insights from these systems. They need teams that are fluent in AI concepts, not just data teams, but product, operations, finance, and engineering. And critically, leadership must shift its focus from overseeing tasks to governing the outcomes produced by AI enabled systems. This is the new mandate. In an AI driven environment, strategy fundamentally changes. Decisions accelerate, markets move in real time, and competitors iterate constantly with machine speed experimentation. The result is that strategy can no longer be a once a year exercise. It becomes a continuous operating rhythm powered by intelligent systems that help leaders sense, decide, act, and learn on an ongoing basis. Most leadership teams today operate with an insight gap. They have more data than ever, but far less clarity. Leaders often see only fragments of the whole system, while teams spend enormous time assembling information instead of making decisions. AI fundamentally changes this by collapsing the time between data, insight, and action, delivering clarity at the pace the business now requires. AI transforms leadership from a sequence of disconnected decisions into a continuous operating flywheel. Leaders can sense signals earlier, analyze them more completely, make decisions with higher confidence, act faster, and learn from the outcomes in near real time. This creates a compounding cycle. Each loop improves the next. The organizations that master the rhythm will outpace those that still rely on episodic planning and slow review cycles. Even the most capable leaders operate with blind spots. Without AI, early indicators go unnoticed. Customer sentiment shifts are delayed, system dependencies remain hidden, and emerging risks surface only when they have already caused damage. AI expands the leader's field of vision, surfacing weak signals and revealing patterns long before human senses would catch them. Despite the momentum around AI, many leaders still hesitate, and the hesitation is rational. Trust in model outputs isn't automatic. Explainability is still evolving. Compliance teams are cautious, and organizational culture resists change. But these barriers are solvable. They are not technical blockers, they are leadership challenges that require clarity, communication, and the right governance structures. AI isn't just about automation, it materially expands leadership capability. It leads to better decisions, faster strategic bets, and more confidence in the paths leaders choose. Just as important, it empowers teams by reducing busy work and elevating judgment. The opportunity is not incremental, it's a fundamental upgrade to how organizations think, plan, and operate. Every strategic decision sits on top of a stack. At the base is information, raw data, signals, and context. AI strengthens the next layer, the intelligence layer, by turning that information into insights and predictions. But the Judgment layer remains distinctly human. Leaders synthesize trade offs, values, and experience. And at the top is governance, the guardrails that ensure decisions align with ethics, compliance, and organizational priorities. AI doesn't replace this stack, it reinforces it. For decades, teams have relied on impact versus effort scoring to prioritize work. It's slow, subjective, and heavily dependent on debate rather than data. With AI, prioritization changes fundamentally. AI can surface confidence scores, quantify risk, and map dependencies across systems, giving leaders a probabilistic view of where to invest, not just an opinionated one. It turns prioritization from a negotiation into a decision. AI transforms scenario modeling from a slow, linear, tree option exercise into a dynamic exploration of hundreds of potential futures. It can instantly show how different variables interact, reveal trade offs, and highlight the high confidence path forward. This allows leaders to ask, "What if?" in real time and get immediate data grounded answers. With AI, product bets become interrogable objects. The system surfaces hidden assumptions, quantifies risks, identifies the leading indicators that matter, and predicts outcomes based on historical patterns and real time data. Leaders no longer rely on static business cases. They interact with dynamic, continuously updated canvases that make decision making faster and far more informed. In most organizations today, leaders still operate as model makers. They pull data, run analysis, challenge assumptions manually, and try to build a picture of what's happening in the business. All of that takes time, and the quality of the decision is constrained by the amount of information a single person or team can synthesize. This was acceptable when markets move slowly. It isn't anymore. In an AI enabled operating model, the leader's role shifts dramatically. AI now handles the computation. It generates scenarios, reveals dependencies, quantifies risk, and surfaces the assumptions that sit underneath recommendations. Instead of spending hours or days assembling the model, leaders start with the model already built. This elevates the leader into the role of model checker. The value they bring is no longer in doing the analytical heavy lifting, it's in interrogating the logic, validating the assumptions, questioning the outputs, and ensuring the recommendation aligns with intent, strategy, and values. The leader becomes the arbiter of meaning, not the generator of math. And this change is important. It preserves human judgment. AI is not there to replace decision making, it's there to remove the bottleneck of manual analysis so leaders can focus on the parts of decision making that truly matter: strategic insight, prioritization, risk acceptance, cultural alignment, and accountability. When leaders embrace this role shift, decision velocity increases, quality improves, and the organization becomes more adaptive. AI introduces enormous leverage, but leverage cuts both ways. Leaders must resist the temptation to delegate judgment to the system, especially early in adoption. Early outputs can appear confident but still be wrong, and teams can easily confuse noise for meaningful signal if they aren't guided well. Used thoughtfully, AI sharpens decision quality, but used carelessly, it can accelerate mistakes. In an AI driven environment, portfolio thinking becomes more important than ever. AI amplifies the power of every bet. Good bets scale faster, but bad bets fail faster too. This means Leaders must diversify intelligently across small, core, and bold initiatives. You can no longer rely on a single large program to carry strategy. You need a balanced portfolio that absorbs volatility while capturing upside. AI changes how leaders see their portfolios. Instead of looking at static lists and manual scoring, AI generates dynamic heat maps that expose where value is shifting. It highlights early signals, shows where strategic alignment is drifting, and identifies which bets have disproportionate leverage. Leaders gain a real time view of portfolio health, making it easier to rebalance before value erodes. One of the biggest advantages of AI in strategic leadership is its ability to detect weak signals long before KPIs move. Traditional dashboards only show the problem when it has already materialized, when the cost spike is visible, when churn rises, when security alerts trigger. AI identifies user friction, cost anomalies, emerging security patterns, and feature decay at the earliest stage. This gives leaders time to intervene before performance degrades. It's early warning, not post mortem analysis. AI changes experimentation from manual single test activity into a continuous portfolio level capability. Instead of running one or two control tests per quarter, AI can generate hypotheses, design experiments, and run sequential tests across dozens of initiatives simultaneously. Leaders shift from designing experiments to governing them, reviewing insights, making decisions, and adjusting investment across the portfolio. This dramatically increases the learning velocity. AI allows organizations to adopt a completely new operating rhythm for strategy, what we can think of as strategy sprints. Instead of relying on quarterly or annual strategic reviews, leaders can run weekly cycles powered by AI. The system surfaces insights, identifies emerging risks, and generates new strategic options automatically. Leaders then review these insights, compare paths, and select the next set of moves. Over time, this creates a continuous adaptive strategy process that mirrors the speed of the environment. We move from strategy as a static deck to strategy as a living operating loop. In this case, AI helped a leadership team rebalance their portfolio far more effectively than manual reviews allowed. The system detected underperforming initiatives early, before they consumed more resources, and highlighted which bets had the highest leverage. Based on these insights, leaders reallocated their budget dynamically, increasing total ROI and eliminating political friction in the decision process. The result wasn't just cost savings, it was a clear strategy and faster value realization. AI fundamentally changes the tempo of work. Teams can move faster, generate more options, and discover risks earlier than ever before. This new velocity, though, creates a tension. Traditional governance frameworks weren't designed for real time decision loops. Approval cycles are linear and slow, while AI enabled workflows are continuous and fast. This means governance must evolve. It can no longer function as a gate that work must pass through. It must instead operate as an enabling system, providing guardrails, clarity, and oversight without slowing innovation. The goal is not to reduce autonomy, but to ensure that autonomy is exercised safely and consistently. Good governance in the AI era protects judgment and accelerates progress. AI governance doesn't need to be heavy or bureaucratic. It needs to be clear, layered, and lightweight. At the foundation are guardrails, are boundaries, ethical principles, and compliance constraints. These define where AI can and cannot operate. Above that are reviews, which are the human checkpoints for high impact decisions. These ensure that judgment stays with people, not the machine. And at the top is oversight, the continuous monitoring that ensures the system behaves as intended and escalates issues early. What's important is that governance adapts to AI speed. It must protect judgment without slowing teams down. A clear three layer model achieves that balance. Ethics can no longer sit on the periphery of AI programs. It must be integrated directly into the decision flow. Leaders need systems that automatically run bias checks, provide transparency into how models reach conclusions, and ensure that humans remain firmly in control for high stakes decisions. This is no longer simply a compliance requirement, it's a leadership competency. Organizations that treat ethical AI as a build time bolt on will struggle with trust, adoption, and systemic risk. But those with embedded ethics into the fabric of every decision loop will create responsible, scalable AI that teams can rely on confidently. Organizations accumulate decision debt the same way they accumulate technical debt. Over time, they build too many rules, create unnecessary approvals, and adopt processes that made sense years ago but no longer support the speed the business needs today. AI exposes this friction. It highlights where decisions stall, where bottlenecks exist, where rules conflict, and where linear decision paths are slowing teams down. When leaders tackle decision debt proactively, they unlock enormous speed. And when AI is part of the governance framework, the organization continuously identifies and removes friction, not just once a year, but in real time. It's critical that leaders understand the distinction between what AI provides and what humans must still own. AI is extraordinarily good at showing what is possible, what could happen, what the likely outcomes are, what risks and opportunities the data reveals. But AI does not understand intent, it does not understand values, and it is not accountable for outcomes. That is the leader's role. Leaders define the purpose behind a decision. They apply the organization's principles, culture, risk tolerance, and mission. And ultimately, they own the impact. AI can dramatically improve how leaders see the landscape, but only leaders can decide what should be done. And when used properly, AI elevates rather than replaces human judgment. AI literacy is becoming a baseline requirement across every function, not just technical teams. Training provides foundational knowledge so that every team member understands what AI can and cannot do. Shared mental models are equally crucial. They ensure teams use the same language when discussing risk, interpreting model output, or making AI informed decisions. Without a common vocabulary, organizations create inconsistency and confusion. Finally, cross functional fluency brings product, engineering, data, legal, and operations together. AI multiplies impact only when teams collaborate across domains. A deeply AI literate organization isn't just faster, it's more aligned, more confident, and much more innovative. In this case study, a product organization struggled with long strategy cycles. Teams spent months manually collecting inputs, reviewing data, debating options, and aligning on priorities. By the time decisions were made, the market had already shifted. Once AI was introduced, the entire model changed. AI automated insight gathering, highlighted strategic opportunities, and surfaced risks in real time. Instead of waiting months for synthesis, leaders received weekly and sometimes daily strategic intel. This compressed the entire strategy cycles from months down to weeks. The bigger shift was cultural. Strategy moved from being an occasional event to an always on capability that was powered by AI. In this case study, AI reshaped how a leadership team made portfolio investment decisions. Historically, they relied on static quarterly reviews and subjective opinions to determine which initiatives to fund or pause. This led to long delays before issues surfaced. When AI driven portfolio analysis started, the system continuously evaluated performance signals, identified which initiatives were underperforming, and highlighted the bets with the highest leverage. As a result, the team was able to reallocate funding dynamically, moving resources away from low impact efforts to initiatives with stronger strategic returns. The shift from opinion based funding to evidence driven rebalancing significantly improved ROI, reduced waste, and created far more strategic clarity. In this case study, the organization struggled to understand customer friction across the entire journey. Traditional surveys and NPS scores gave lagging indicators, but leaders lacked visibility into the early signals hidden in telemetry, behaviors, and support interactions. AI changed that. It analyzed millions of micro signals across the journey: page exits, stalled workflows, repeated support queries, delayed feature activation, and identified precisely where friction accumulated. Armed with this insight, the team prioritized the roadmap based on real impact, not intuition or loudest voice requests. As a result, onboarding success improved, feature adoption increased, and both NPS as well as retention moved in the right direction. AI didn't replace customer understanding, it made it sharper, faster, and far more actionable. This playbook captures the core leadership behaviors that matter most in an AI enabled organization. First, leaders must learn to ask AI the right questions because the quality of answers depends on the quality of prompts. Second, they must redesign decision rituals so that the teams can take advantage of continuous insight loops rather than relying on slow episodic forums. Third, leaders need to manage their work as intelligent portfolios, shifting resources dynamically based on real time signals. Fourth, governance must evolve, protecting judgment with speed and ethical clarity. And finally, leaders must invest deeply in teaching their teams to reason with AI. This isn't optional anymore, it's the new baseline for modern leadership. As we close, the core message is simple: AI does not eliminate the need for leadership, it elevates the expectations of leadership. The leaders who learn to use AI as a strategic partner, who know how to ask better questions, govern wisely, redesign decision rituals, and empower their teams, will dramatically outperform those who cling on to old models. AI gives us leverage. It expands our field of vision. It accelerates learning and decision making. But it is still leaders who define intent, values, accountability, and direction. As we wrap up, here are the core takeaways. First, AI elevates leadership rather than replacing it. The leaders who thrive will be those who use AI to expand their judgment, not outsource it. Second, AI transforms strategy into a continuous living process powered by real time insights. Third, portfolios become the primary unit of decision making. AI helps leaders understand where value is accumulating and where it's leaking so that they can reallocate resources dynamically. Fourth, governance must evolve. We need systems that support speed while embedding ethics and accountability. And finally, AI literate teams are the new differentiator. Organizations that can interpret signals, run experiments, and make decisions faster will outperform those that move slowly. In the AI era, leadership excellence is the ultimate competitive advantage. I hope you enjoyed this series. Thank you for joining me.